What's up, connoisseurs? It's Rod with the Pow Group. Welcome back on The Pursuit of Wealth, your home for MJ Stocks, crypto assets, news, and interviews. Today is Friday, February 28th. Hope you're well. Happy Friday. We're going to get started with the rapid fire news update, this time for the period February 22nd to the 28th. And again, it's not a deep dive detail, it's just a high level overview in case you missed it. Try to keep these videos around 10 to 15 minutes. Before we get to it, make sure to smash the like. It helps support me in the channel. And if you're new, you can subscribe, tick the bell, all that good stuff. You'll be notified on any future videos. You can also follow us over on X, formerly Twitter. Handle for that is @GroupPow. Going to be using that as my platform of choice going forward. We'll jump into the news. There was a lot to go over this week, so we'll jump right to it. Earnings season. Also just posted this on a reply to Elon. He said, why do governments, this was just a few hours ago today, why do governments not respond to their people? And there's a poll here, a survey, regards to immigration and the overwhelming majority. And I said, the same reason you and real Donald Trump don't talk about MJ legalization. You will do it when you are ready, not when 80 to 90% of the country want it. You should be ashamed of yourselves, especially claiming to be American people first. Time to wake up, sleepy Elon Musk and real Donald Trump. I get it. They got a lot of other issues, but it's time to wake up and smell the you-know-what, because people have spoken. 80 to 90% want, of the American people want it legal in some fashion. So it's time to, you're here for the people, right? They were put in there by the people. They work for the people. It's time to give the people what they want. Just ignoring the people's will is it really a democracy at that point, or is it a bureaucracy, right? And I would argue it's probably the latter. So Switzerland makes moves to legalize adult use MJ. I can't remember if I mentioned this in my past video. Sometimes there's some stragglers and publishers that come out with it later on, but I do want to mention this again. Essentially, it was a temporary program that's being moved to full legal, so love to see it. The DEA's official museum is an embarrassment of reefer madness misinformation. Well, who would have thought that, right? Like, it's kind of hilarious, really. But again, we live in a bureaucracy, not a democracy in the U.S., it seems. Top Pennsylvania police and health officials say they're prepared to implement MJ legalization, and it seems like all but imminent here for Pennsylvania, another massive state. Very, very important market in the U.S. Using the MJ components THCV and CBD every day helps people lose weight, study finds. And again, this is still with Schedule 1. Imagine once it gets rescheduled and then fully descheduled, eventually, in my opinion, that's where we're heading. And then throw AI at it with all the scientific breakthroughs. It's no wonder that they're trying to hold this industry back, right? Big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco. I've tried to interview companies in MJ, and, quite often they want it scripted. I have like a list of questions, like long, like Santa Claus's list. You wouldn't believe it. And the amount of stuff they strip out of there because they can't answer it. It's just so frustrating. Like, you can't even come on and have a conversation. Like, you should know what you can and cannot say. And then there's certain interviews that they ask you to take them down because of XYZ reason, or the partnership, the company that we're partnered with doesn't want it. It's just, it goes to show you how manipulated this sector is. And it's we're going to see tons of studies, and it's, again, the big pharma, big alcohol, big tobacco. They're threatened by this, right? This is an amazing plant. You can wear it with clothes, right? Industrial purposes. You can eat it as food. It's medicine. It's a healthier alternative to tobacco and alcohol, right? As a recreational thing as well. So I digress, but it's no wonder that they're so threatened by it. Medical MJ is also a safe and effective treatment for pain and sleep. Oh, somebody tell the big pharma to release an article right away to talk about the dangers of this amazing plant, right? So, safe and effective treatment for pain and sleep issues in older people. And it's just absolutely ridiculous that we're, it's still on Schedule 1 and federally illegal in the U.S. Like I said, it's bass backwards in the U.S. And it has to stop. Like, almost 7 years in Canada, and somebody said, yeah, well, it's big pharma, blah, blah, blah. Well, we have big pharma here in Canada, and, they listen to the people, and ultimately they got it done. So almost 7 years legal here in Canada. Sorry, Americans, I love you, but I definitely don't envy you, and I definitely don't want to live there, because it's, like I said, it's not a democracy, it's a bureaucracy, and they're not listening to the will of the people, exactly what they should be doing. Study shows that CBD and CBG show potential for combating HER2- positive ovarian cancer. So again, it's just the tip of the iceberg with regards to research and studies and medicine of the future. Also, Cannara Biotech, a Canadian MJ producer, strengthened its financial footing as it grows its operations. It extended its BMO credit line to 2027 and adds new financing. This stock has been on an absolute tear. It's one of the only ones in a monthly uptrend. Just posted a video on Oxy as well. That's in a monthly uptrend, and I believe High Tide as well. But very, very bullish on Cannabis Biotech, great producer out of Quebec here in Canada. Also, Senator John Fetterman gets it. He circulates a petition to legalize MJ at the federal level. So again, time to wake up Elon and Trump. I get it. You have a lot of other issues, but if 80 to 90% of the nation wants it in some form of another, you better be talking about it, or at least getting the ball rolling. Doesn't have to be top of your list, but it better be on the goddamn list. Excuse my French, but it's getting ridiculous. And the more time that goes by, it just goes to show that, it doesn't matter who's in power. They all probably sold their soul long ago, and they don't give a shit about anybody else. It's just what they want, what's on their agenda. That's what they want, right? And their constituents. And I get it. Crypto, AI, all that stuff is much more important. It's a $50 to $100 trillion market. MJ will be lucky to get to $1 trillion market, but when 80 to 90% of your citizens want it legalized and some sort of reform, get it done. At least start the process and keep us updated. Doesn't have to be top of your list, like I said, but put it on the friggin' list. What will Germany's election outcome mean for the nation's MJ industry? So there's been a lot of negative and pessimism around this, but the Conservatives won. I don't think it's going to be, if anything, they might slow it down. They might kind of try to pause it a little bit, but I don't think they're going to walk anything back. And other experts agree with me. Also, MJ-related banking requires MJ-related knowledge and expertise. Well, that just makes sense. And all this debanking issues and, choke point, Operation Choke Point, I think that this is going to happen. I've always been saying for a while now that before we get major reform in the U.S., like full-blown legalization, descheduling and removing it from Schedule 1, all this stuff. I think that before we get major reform in the U.S., they're going to approve some sort of banking. Why? Because they want to get the Wall Street banks and hedge funds positioned first, right? Think of the J.P. Morgans, the Morgan Sachs, the Goldman Sachs, the Morgan Stanleys of the world. They're going to want to get those banks positioned because nothing in the world happens without them first. And then they'll be ready to unleash the shackles, right? Once they pack their bags, once these MJ companies are all listed on U.S. major exchanges, they'll be able to play around, park our pennies next to their dollars, so to speak. And that's when they'll see meaningful reform, in my opinion. In some other not so great news with regards to Germany, this could be because of the shakeup, right, and the uncertainty there. Maybe High Tide is just kind of hedging its bets a little bit, but they paused their acquisition of PureCan, and they're exploring, a different structure potentially. But they're exploring also alternatives, methods as well to enter the German MJ market. So we'll see what happens there. I have already posted a video on that. You can check it out for more details and my additional thoughts on that. But in an effort of time, I'll continue to chug along here. Trump's position on MJ reform remains a mystery as he calls for death penalty for drug dealers while appointing pardon czar. Okay, well, let's be real here. Like, obviously, he's not talking about MJ. He's talking about, the fentanyl crisis and hard drugs. Like, come on. Pardons are, I think that's bullish overall. He promoted the person that he pardoned for MJ related offenses to the pardon czar. So that's pretty much all that we need to know there as well. Writings on the wall, folks. Oxley will be presenting at the Canadian MJ Virtual Conference on March 12, 2025. So that will be from the CEO and CFO who I've interviewed. You can check out the interview as well with Hugo Alves, the CEO. And the president will also be there at 2:20 p.m. Eastern time. So mark your calendars for that. I'll do my best to be on there and might even stream it here. Let me know in the comment section if you'd like to see me live stream that. SNDL is also set to announce fourth quarter 2024 and full fiscal 2024 financial results on March 18th, 2025. I'll do an earnings prep and more than likely an earnings review video for that, so stay tuned. Tilray Brands announces 420 concert with multi-platinum artist Don Toliver, I think is how it's pronounced. Never heard of it. Never heard of Don Toliver before, but never a bad thing to see this kind of partnerships and Tilray going mainstream. Trulieve announces launch of Onward, a premium THC beverage, so kind of following Tilray's lead and, obviously Tilray the leader in beverage, but I think beverage super underrated, but they have these mocktails and they're going to be available at Total Wine as well eventually, but you'll be able to order it directly from drinkonward.com. And they did have their earnings as well, but we'll get to that in a moment. Trulieve announces appointment of co-founder Jason Purnell as president. Hopefully he does a better job than their ex-CFO, wrongly expensed like $350,000. I got a bad feeling about this company, though, to be completely honest with you. Yeah, their books look okay, but they had a ex CFO wrongly expensed like almost $500,000. It was like $350,000. They had a worker that died. They were fined for that. The CEO's husband went to jail for corruption and was fined, went to prison. So I'd just be cautious on this name. Obviously, their numbers or earnings are great, but in terms of leader of sketch bags, they definitely lead in terms of sketch bag pack. So I'd just be very, very cautious. Green Thumb, on the other hand, they don't have CFOs wrongly expensing things, husbands going to prison for corruption, and they don't have workers dying on their front line, so to speak, right? So if you're looking for a company, I would more than likely bet on Green Thumb over a True Leaves. That's just my 2 cents. But they beat on estimates as well. On revenue, I think they actually had a very slight miss in terms of EPS, but they grew their bottom line in the fourth quarter. And they had an overall pretty decent quarter, but that's nothing new. Trulieve reported their fourth quarter and full year 2024 results, highlighting margins and cash flow. So they had crazy margins there at 62%, but a lot of this is inflated with different tax refunds and things like that. But again, I'm just very cautious on Trulieve. Generally, my gut's right like 90+% of the time, and I have a bad gut feeling about this one, and hope I'm wrong because I know there's a lot of people interested in it, but I own it indirectly through MSOS ETF, a very small position. That's about as much exposure that I'm willing to take. Canopy Growth announces entry of Tweed brand to German medical MJ market. Love to see it. And Cureleaf celebrates new Sedona dispensary, and they also have the hemp company beverages. The hemp-derived products are now expanding beverage sales to over 100 total wine stores. Now, this is a company in the U.S. that I absolutely can get behind. Cureleaf, I think they're very similar to an LP. They have operations in Canada, actually through Northern Green Canada. So they're now an LP and an MSO, and they're in Europe, in the European countries as well, right? So I very, very, very bullish on Cureleaf, and this is a great sign here to 100 total wine stores. I'd love to see that as well. Verano, this is another company I'd be very cautious on. Big debt and posting losses. And if you can't succeed in the biggest economy in the world, there's something wrong here. But Verano misses on fourth quarter revenue and post annual loss. Moving along, Kronos Group reported a dramatic turnaround. My dog in the background here, just 1 second. Must hear an ambulance. Every time an ambulance goes by, he likes to mimic them. But yeah, Kronos reported a dramatic turnaround in 2024, ends year with $40 million in profits. So stock was responding quite well. They missed in terms of revenue estimates, but huge beat in terms of EPS and positive EPS. Love to see it. But company still only like $30 million in quarterly revenue. So they got a lot of work to do, but they're turning a page here. A lot of Canadian companies are as well. A lot of excitement around the hemp beverage boom. Hemp-based drinks alone could grow to a $1.4 billion to $4 billion market in the U.S. over the next 4 years. So it's no wonder all these companies are following Tilray's lead, getting into the beverage segment. Trulieve and Green Thumb take different paths though into the hemp segment and beverage segment. So Trulieve is betting the farm on its new drinks, while GTI keeps regulatory risky hemp operations at arm's length. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this all plays out. Tilray's being very similar to GTI, actually. They're keeping everything kind of just at a slow scale here. They're starting with a few select states. They're not doing like all states available to them. They're just kind of starting with a half a dozen or so, and then slowly ramping that up. I do think that's the best way to do it, especially in the MJ industry. What have we learned, right? You kind of want to take that slow and steady crawl, walk, run approach versus just guns a-blazing. Also, MTL MJ heads back into the red for now, so the Canadian producer improved its cash position while higher expenses ate into its profitability. Also, Village Farms International expands medical MJ distribution to New Zealand. Geez, can't speak now all of a sudden. And Farmacello, not sure how to pronounce it exactly, aims for profitability by late 2025, despite the company's going concern. The producer still tripled its quarterly revenue while narrowing losses as appetite for global markets grow. All right, once again, happy Friday. Hope you have a great weekend ahead. Let me know what you think of this news in the comments section below. It's Rod with the Pow Group. Thanks again for joining us on the Pursuit of Wealth, and we'll catch you on the next one.